Aye. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church at Tullahoma. Welcome to those of you there in person, those on Zoom, and those live streaming. Today is Sunday, July 2nd. And for our opening reading, we're going to focus on the 4th of July. On Tuesday, we will celebrate the 247th anniversary of the birth of the United States of America. President John F. Kennedy said, "The greatest works of our nation's founders lay not in documents and in declarations, but in creative, determined action." As leaders of the world, Americans have the spirit of the Declaration of Independence in our genes and know how to creatively have the determination to make a better future for all. In the words of former Senator Joe Lieberman, "This is an exciting time. I believe we stand at the edge of a new age, a golden age of freedom that will rival any of the great eras of world history because it will be the entire world itself that is changing." We'll now go to our chalice lighting. So, Tom, if you would light the chalice in church, I'll light one here.
To honor the meaning of the 4th of July, we light this chalice today for the defenders of freedom, working against those who would impose their own religious beliefs on others through intimidation or legislation. May we tend this fire always, ever vigilant and courageous in the struggle for freedom and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Tom. Now we do move on to announcements. If you have an announcement, yes. Rick, go ahead, please.
That the Wednesday night discussion group will remain in hiatus for another couple of weeks. Also, with the cessation of our abeyance of the Zen, I'm not quite sure because we've been sort of overlapping with Zen. I don't know whether Doug's going to be able to resume that in the near future or not, but we're working on getting that resumed, and we'll probably be discussing some book. We've got a couple of suggestions. The second announcement, the housekeeping and setup team has been really diligent, and appreciate that. I think Tony has appreciated it too. But we're down one member, and we need a couple of more members in that group. If you would contact me, and we'll work into the schedule. We're doing 1 month at a time. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, thanks for all your effort and those on the committee for setting up on Sunday morning and taking down. That's really great. Other announcements. Tom.
Just again about the writing group, we've got a lot of poetry books in the corner over here, some there. I've got a trunk full, and so if you come and you want to pick up any 1, 2, 7, 20, however many you want, do, and we'll have plenty, that's for sure. And there's some very interesting ones, some very modern, contemporary poets, and so yeah, some of them are signed too by them. So.
All right. Thank you.
And we'll be meeting next Thursday. I'm sorry.
All right.
Second Thursday.
Yes. All right. Other announcements. Larry, did you have an announcement?
No?
Okay. So I have a couple of announcements, and P-Flag meets at church, and I believe it's the second Monday at 6 p.m. If that's incorrect, somebody change that, but I believe that's when they meet, so it'll be on the 10th. And then, as of yesterday, July 1, it's our new fiscal year, business year, so we have a new board starting out with one more year of service. So the biggest changes on the board are Carrie Hawk is now on the board as the first vice president of programs. Thank you, Carrie. And Katie Ford is no longer on the board as the religious education director. So also thank you to Katie for many years of service. So the board now, as it stands, is the continuing trustee is Barb Craig, treasurer is Costa Bryce, secretary Rosanna Olson, second vice president for buildings and grounds is Tony Mercado. As I said, Carrie is the first vice president of programs, and I'm the president. So that's where we're at on the board. And one other announcement, I'll try to make this brief. With religious education, what the board has discussed, we're planning on thinking about setting up a religious education committee so that when a family comes with children, we have a plan in place that we have some volunteers, or at least one, but hopefully some volunteers ready to step up and work with the children, and also have a plan where there are readily available activities and or lesson plans in the RE room. So it's just kind of go in there, pick it up and go is the idea. So if you are interested in that, let me know. If you want to serve on that committee, that would be great. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing? Yes, Roberta has got a brand new high def sign. It's like 6 feet wide or something, which would probably work well out here. And she's willing to give it up for a considerable amount less, but it is expensive, but I think it would be a great addition to our church here. And so something to think about, and I'll get more information from her. It's basically she's bought it for already, and it's in Kenny Banks' hands of this sign store. It'd be
Okay, I think that's appropriate for a board meeting, so we'll bring that to the board rather than here. Yeah, thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. Any other announcements? No. All right. We will have a responsive reading, and then we will go to our speaker. So the responsive reading is All of Nature is Sacred by Lorelei Greenwood Jones. For the love of all began with the world.
All of nature is sacred.
Every creature is a thinking, feeling being.
We are blessed with wondrous variety.
We are part of nature and every being on the planet. What we do to one affects the many.
In this web of existence, we are each a strand. Our pushing and pulling moves the fabric of the world.
Each bird and insect, each fish and four-legged creature, all are our siblings.
Let us treat them as we would one another, with compassion and dignity, with understanding and honor.
The love that we show each being radiates outward, a beam of kindness and caring that can be felt with the heart.
And in turn, our hearts receive that love from each being, and it will echo into eternity.
All right. So, James, I'm glad you're here. Looking forward to your presentation, and it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. I just want to be sure, I'm so used to holding a handheld mic that we're good. You all hear me?
Real good. Coming through loud and clear.
Let me know if I need to project more like a thespian.
For just one moment, I'm going to shut this curtain.
I will do my best to be heard, and I want to thank you all for having me again. I'm thinking this might be visit number 5 over the years, and I've always enjoyed coming down. Our topic is medicine wheel, and I'm sure that's intriguing. It's not about filling our prescriptions. It's more aligned with the reading we just had about nature, and I drove 100 miles here, and speaking of medicine, I made the mistake of taking my diuretic this morning. So I didn't come in a straight line. And I had some visits along the way. With Medicine Wheel, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is. Some of you may know, and we are going to have a brief meditation using this wheel in front of you. And so what we're doing is recreating a Native American medicine wheel using 36 stones. This is about totems. Another way of looking at it is the power of metaphor can be used. We can use the wheel with the God of our understanding. We can use it spiritually. If we're atheist and agnostic, we can use it as an introspective exercise. And I have found through my experience that when I use a medicine wheel, things come. Things appear to be delivered. There might be the answers to a problem. It might be a sense of greater connectivity and something that makes me feel good. And in my story, the church I grew up in was rather rigid and abusive. And when I was in my teens, I was all done with the idea of God or spirituality because I was combining the two. I was a confused kid. And through the years, I called myself a devout agnostic, and I didn't want anything more than that. That was good for me. What happened for me though was when I took a job out in Hickman County, I had the run of 2,500 acres on the Piney River, which I think is a very sacred place, filled with Native American spirit, energy, and things began to come to me. Insights. I would do a meditation on a hillside, and when I opened my eyes, one time there was a spearhead sticking out of the earth between my feet. Can't explain it. I was on the edge of a tobacco field at the time, and that appeared, and I started to have visual experiences and auditory experiences and such, and the medicine wheel became a part of my personal experience in life. It was a go-to place when I wanted to get centered, if I had a surgery pending, if I just wanted to sit in peace and contemplation. You know, one of the things for me was a song I have sung here in the past called I Am an Artist. Back in 2003, when I was trying to get the album finished, I couldn't finish that song to my liking, and I was at the wheel one day, and without thinking about the song, the line I was waiting for 3 months sort of fell out of the sky, and suddenly I knew the song was done. And when I say to people, which line of the song do you think is the one that I feel fell out of the sky and was given to me, and they all choose the same line. They know. So significant experiences. I work in treatment. I work in support of people dealing with trauma issues. Sometimes the groups that I'm supporting are all survivors of mass shootings, have lost children, and what happens when we do medicine wheel is things happen for them that are unexpected, unplanned, and unexplainable. And it's just an amazing thing that people can even find themselves in the wheel connecting to a loved one. The way Native Americans were using the wheel is every part of the wheel is acknowledged as a place of healing, and different types of healing. As I think our medical world turns toward, or all of us are turning towards the idea that if we're healing the spirit, the body is certainly going to benefit. That Native Americans were doing that thousands of years ago. They would go in, they would use the wheel, and it would be about the spirit to the benefit of their mind and body as well. I was introduced to medicine wheel in Hickman County, and I remember being at a dedication of the wheel in which 100 people were on top of a hill where you could see for miles, and it was, the medicine wheel was 64 feet wide, very large. You probably couldn't move the stones once they were put in place. And there were Native Americans playing drums in the four directions. There was an old medicine man who had come from Memphis playing an eagle bone whistle. It was in late September, and it was sunset, and the geese, as Joni Mitchell would say, were in chevron flight, and they were honking over us. We had a hole dug in the earth, and all 100 people put something in, and it was about putting something they wanted in the wheel, something that would hold energy. It could have been written on a piece of paper, or it could have been the ring off somebody's hand, or it could have been a crystal. And it was believed that once our ceremony was done, the medicine wheel was a living place. And it would hold that energy between earth and sky, or you could say Mother Earth and Father Sky. And so for all these years now, I have found this to be part of my journey, a very significant part, and have been able to bring this to other people, mostly clients, you know, who are in treatment for one thing or another. Again, I'll be in Franklin doing it with alcohol and drug counselors from across the state in September, and I just have a lot of gratitude for it, being able to do this. The first wheels were discovered in the Grand Tetons in Alberta, Canada, and my understanding is contemporary tribes did not know where they came from. They weren't handed down generationally in storytelling, in the lineage, and I believe that they held these places in reverence, and they started to create ceremony that they could do at the wheels. And so I believe that we can as well. And if you use a wheel individually or in a group, sometimes I'll be in one that goes overnight and has storytelling and singing and a fire and all of those things. And so what I'm going to do is put another little nick in my guitar, and I'm just going to sing you a part of a song that I wrote in 2003, and this was a song I wrote about the dedication of that wheel, and it'll just give you an idea of where I was and what I was feeling when we did that. Medicine awaits you in a circle made of stone. Great spirits there to hear your prayer, and blessings will be shown. Rays of light are just as bright when you close your eyes. You can see eternity, nothing ever dies. So you say blue, endless loop, spiral to the sun. Step inside and open wide and feel the world as one. In the wheel, the truth revealed is bound to see you smile. Everyone is Father, Son, and Mother Nature's child. And I'm just going to stop there and not finish the song, but just to share that with you. And I don't know if those of you who are online have access to a couple handouts that I have. You don't need to look at them now. If you want to not look or turn them over, and I'm not going to hand them out here until we can finish at the end, so that part of this will be an intuitive process. And this is going to be kind of an intro to the use of the wheel. And since we use totems, I want you to know that what I've laid out are 4 directions. Those spokes of the wheel, each one is a direction, and every stone represents something. So there are 36 things represented by these stones. Because we're using a small wheel, what I'm going to ask for you to do is look at the wheel from wherever you're sitting. If we had a larger wheel, I'd have you go into it and find your place, and maybe you would sit on one of the rocks, but I'm afraid to ask you to do that here. Especially those crystals. If you will, even if you're at home, if you can see the wheel, the idea is to choose one of these stones to focus your attention on. This will be a short meditation. You can do it with eyes open or closed, but I want you to imagine you're being smudged with sage. You're standing at a medicine wheel on the top of a hill. You're going to walk around the outside clockwise. Feel your earth, the earth beneath your feet. Get grounded and allow yourself to be drawn into the wheel to a certain particular place, to a stone. And if you do that, I want you to focus on that stone and remember what it is. And after just a few minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you show me your stone, and I'm going to tell you what it represents. I'm going to talk about the 4 directions, and in the handout there will be more information about the stone that you chose, and there are ways to get more information later as well. So, are there any questions? Okay, so if you will, find your place in the wheel. ask you all to come back. I was realizing the difference between doing the wheel indoors and outdoors and all of the nature sounds that are out there. The passing pileated woodpecker, the honking geese coming over, the snapping turtle with clay on his back that walks through the wheel, or the skunk that visits my group and teaches us how to coexist. The deer get curious and they come closer and join us at the wheel. And there's so much life going on. I had the thought for a moment there, wow, if we're recording this is a lot of dead air time. And I thought, it's not dead, it's live air time. And so what I will ask is, this was an intro. This was just, well, there's some animal totems. So, did anybody have anything they would like to share? How did that feel? Knowing that we did it for 5 minutes, and if we were out at a wheel, we might be sitting that way for 45 minutes or an hour, or longer. We could be with a group of people, we could be alone, having a solitary experience in nature. And so please share if you'd like. Yes.
I have two, and that's interesting. This stone right here.
At the very end?
At the very end. I'm assuming that's east, it's probably not, but I remember traveling out to the southwest area. And that reminds me of the buttes and the cliffs around very much. However, that piece of quartz, I guess it is over there, from where I'm sitting, there's a very bright light underneath it. It's coming from that light up there, yes.
And that is right here.
No, it's the one, keep going out to that one.
Yes, okay.
And probably for nobody but me, I think anybody's gonna be able to see the light. If you came where I'm sitting, you will see it. And it's very, very bright. It's like it's coming
Like
out of the stone itself.
Like a prism.
It is, and
Yeah,
that's,
I can think
you know,
like from here.
my background is optics, and so
Yeah.
quartz plays a big role in electro-optics and optics, so that comes close. But those two have meaning for me.
Okay. So that is the south. You chose coyote. And here is in the north, and you chose raccoon. So there are those two to consider when you look it up afterwards.
Okay.
Yes.
Throughout my whole life, I've been attracted to rivers and moving water. And I grew up on the Little Harpeth River out in Brentwood, and we bathed in it and swam in it, tried to fish in it. Jim knows I can't fish very well, but had a good time. And then I learned about canoeing as a Boy Scout, and went into whitewater later on and taught whitewater, and the river became a great recreational, and also became a conservationist on the river associated with the Tennessee Scenic Rivers Association. This river here, this rock here, has obviously been worn by a stream, and it sort of attracted me because it's got colors in it. It's obviously been in a stream, and one of the things I like is a saying, I don't know who it's attributed to, but it's time and the river flowing. And we can look at the Grand Canyon and see what the forces of nature can do. And I was attracted to that rock because of its beauty and also because of the way it was formed and relating to moving water. And I can't really do much whitewater anymore. I'm too old and too weak. But I do still support river conservation as best I can.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of whitewater around here, but we've got some really nice lakes. So
Streams.
and a few streams.
You gotta go down to the Ocoee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I've
it's-
done the Ocoee in my younger years.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging stream. They taught the whitewater canoeing, kayaking. Olympics was held there a few years
Right.
ago.
I remember.
So anyway, but that's a dam controlled stream, but that's okay.
So you're in the west,
Yeah,
over
in the
here.
west, yes.
and the stone that you chose represents the raven. That is the raven. Yeah. And we'll give more information.
The Raven is in Edgar Allan Poe's poetry. That's appropriate. I like Edgar Allan Poe's poetry.
The raven is one of the messengers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a hand, I think.
Yeah, I have focused on the two-tone gray one that's irregular,
Uh-huh.
and I tried to change it, and it seemed like I just kept being drawn to that one. I saw the beauty in all the others, but I was amazed at the thing that I started thinking about that had nothing to do with that stone was the fact that I start my mornings with 10 real deep breaths, even sometimes before I get out of bed. And I took those while I was looking at it because I didn't this morning. I had stuff going on. I think the thing I felt was an Indian attitude, and that's harmony. That was the word I thought of, looking at that irregular stone that doesn't seem to have any harmony to it, but those are my thoughts.
That's great. So right here we're in between north and east, and this represents the otter. And you may, if you read up on otter as a totem, you may find harmony in there. But if we talk about anything that's water related, water is symbolic of emotion. Otter is my wife's nickname, so I always like Otter.
That's her Indian name then.
She has a different name that's an Indian name.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I wanted to say I chose the same one. I chose it for a different reason because I've been suffering from a very, very deep, dark depression. And there's a hole in that rock. And I think I've got a hole in me that's got to be filled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's porous. It seems volcanic in a way, like pumice.
I wondered if it was coal.
No, I don't believe so.
But it does look volcanic, but yeah, it's
charred.
Yeah, it does look charred, and that's just the way I feel those days. And then I just see a hole, and I'm thinking, and this church, we lost so much during COVID, so many members, and this church filled filled that void. And then after COVID, and I'm not used to change. I'm like a cat. Don't put a suitcase in the living room that I don't know about. I'll freak out.
Yeah.
And so change has been real hard for me. And I told my husband, I said, I'm just gonna keep going and trying, and because I've got to have that spiritual. Got to have something spiritual.
I hear you. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
I picked Not the big one over there, but the one down, that one in the middle there.
Right here.
Yes, that one. Yep. I mean, again, I looked at all of them and was drawn to many of them, but from where I'm sitting, I see just like a little spark of reflection on the side, and then a black spot, and then I just started, again, just to think about just how I felt, you know, and just kind of looking at, almost in a spiritual soul sense, that we all have that spot of darkness in us, the commonality of the earth tones, of the stone, but then also that bright light that we all have within us, you know, that spark, that energy that's kind of part of the stone as well. The darkness was kind of what initially drew me to it, but then that light behind it really just kind of gave it balance and kept me drawn to it.
Thank you. That's the owl. That's the owl.
I see the same reflection.
And it is, of course, we're back in the east, and I will talk about the 4 directions in just a moment. Does anybody online have a stone?
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you.
I do. Yeah, hi. It's interesting because we're not in the room, but I really don't think it really makes much difference because I did experience some things here. The stone that I chose is in the east. It's the second one from the outside. It's the big white one.
Right there. Yep.
Right. I chose that stone, and then I just started a deep breathing, like Jean had mentioned. When I started deep breathing, I started seeing a myriad of colors, and I can't tell you just what all the colors were, but it was kind of a beautiful blending and softness of the colors. And then in the room that my husband and I sit in when we're on the computer, I heard popping sounds, and that only happens when something very spiritual is happening. And I got the sensation of blanketing peace around things. And from that point on, that was pretty much what I felt and what I observed. And then I must have gone somewhere, because suddenly you called us back and you said it had been 5 minutes. And I would have guessed more like maybe a minute. So I lost track of time in whatever that space was that I was contemplating from. So it's an interesting stone. Is that a quartz stone?
Yes, it has some of that in there.
Okay.
But I would say less developed.
All right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that may have come out of an Arkansas hillside, right?
Yeah, that's where I got my Native American name.
Okay.
Yeah, my Native American name is Talks to Mountains. And
Okay.
those are certainly chatty mountains in Arkansas.
That's right. So you were mentioning the colors, and your stone represents hummingbird.
Oh, hummingbird, wow.
Which also to me seems soft.
Yeah.
And hummingbird is another messenger. If we were looking in Peru, it may be the hummingbird that's the messenger, the conduit between earth and heaven. So,
Okay.
so that's what that is. Yeah. Somebody else.
Yeah, Patty Holland has her hand up.
Patty.
I chose I guess it would be the southwest little white stone between the dark stone at the end and
Right here?
one next to it.
We're pointing. Can you see us point?
It's, show me what north is and I'll tell
North
you where
is
it is.
that way.
That's north.
Up at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay, so, right there by your finger? Okay.
I'm in the north.
Okay, then it would be the southeast.
Are you looking here?
Yes, that one,
This one?
the one she's touching.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
The one Meg's touching.
That is the deer. That one represents the deer.
Okay.
Of course, one of the things would be gentleness with that totem, and that is over in the area of the south. And I will give you more information about the directions in a moment. Yeah. Anybody else want to identify a stone?
I guess I will.
Sure.
You know, I closed my eyes and sort of went through a mental process of, is it north, is it south, east? And I didn't even get to east and west, it's south. And then, you know, it just zoomed in on the south rock, the dark one there, and I just kind of would mentally try to check out other places, like, nope, that's it, just stay there.
Uh-huh.
So it was very, very strong that's the one.
The one that's coyote.
Yeah, the dark
Yes.
one, that's right in front of Meg's feet, yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the four directions, right?
Mhm.
When we enter a medicine wheel, we will come from the east. So we will come from this area right here to enter the wheel, to arrive at the wheel, and the east represents many things. Of course, all four directions. The east is the spring. The east is the place of the newborn. The east is where the sun rises. It's the place of new beginnings. I may have somebody sit in the east, and I just sort of smile because I know they're probably going to have a baby in about a month. and they go to the east, the place of the newborn. They don't know it, but it just happens. In the east, we have all kinds of winged creatures. We've got the golden eagle, the red-tailed hawk, we have the hummingbird, the owl, the firefly, and the butterfly, all right there. It is a place where you can consider going to pray, going to turn something over, to surrender something. And imagine, of course, if you believe in the golden eagle, in your traditions, that you turn something over to the golden eagle, and the golden eagle carries it to the Great Spirit. And to me, as the agnostic who just didn't want to believe in anything, what I did was I started to enjoy taking on these images in these beliefs and imagining, wow. And there was also the idea that when you died, it was the golden eagle that carried you to the Great Spirit. And I thought, you mean when I'm done with this, I get an eagle ride too? You know? And so I can have some fun with it all. So this is the east. When we come around to the south, we're the place of the child. Oftentimes I'll work in the south with clients who had trauma in childhood. Maybe as a child they lost their voice. They decided it was safer to be quiet than to open your mouth. And one of the totems for the direction can be the lion. And so we would go into a wheel in the south, and the objective would be to roar. To go from being meek and having no voice to finding a voice and not controlling its volume. To let it out. The coyote stone, right in front of it is the rabbit. And both of them are referred to as a trickster. In Cherokee, it would be the rabbit. But in either case, one of the things that I've come up with for myself is, and this ties in also with the Four Agreements book and with teachings of Miguel Ruiz, but the idea that I do not allow anything to become a part of my belief system until I have determined its truth. And so when other people in the world or events, so whatever are presenting to me, I don't just take it on as true. I'm skeptical. I wait until I have further affirmation of that, because once something becomes part of my belief system, if it's not true, that's a part of why I suffer, because I am believing in things that are not true, and I use those to judge everything that happens in my life. So to do that. So in the South, it's a place of procreation. It's a place of creation. I often tell, music business people that are coming in from Nashville or LA or New York to use the South as a place to feel creative. I am now at a point where I believe that whenever I'm alone and I'm doing something creative, that I'm not alone and I'm in collaboration. And that collaboration, you can call it whatever you want, but collaboration with the universe. If I'm open to that, sometimes I'm just taking dictation while I'm writing a song or a poem. And when it's all done, I just say, thank you, because it's unexpected and they don't look like my words. So that can be pretty impressive when I'm using the wheel in that way. What else? It faces south, so it's the place of summer, fire, heat, and then if we go to the west is considered the place of introspection. The large rock at the end is the grizzly bear. One of the experiences I had recently was I had a woman sit a grizzly bear and not knowing where she was, and when we processed after, she said, my late brother was speaking to me and it was really nice. And I said, your stone is the grizzly bear, and she said his nickname was Bear. It's the place of the adult. If you come forward 3 stones, you come to the ant. Isn't it funny that you might get the ant as your rock, or you might get the earthworm as your rock. But the ant, oftentimes I'll talk about workaholism, and do you carry more than 100 times your weight emotionally in life? Does that tie in with codependency, or are you killing yourself on your job because you have to do everything all the time for yourself and for everybody else? And so some of these stones can be a place of exactly what it is that you are or what you want, or it can be a place of contemplation about what you want less of when you use it. So that is the west. Here is the north. It is the place of winter. It is the place of the elder. It is a place where you can sit and contemplate the other stages of life, because this is the 4 stages of life. And the large stone is the white buffalo, which is very special. One of the things that some will say about the north is that the north represents death, but because it's like the end of the cycle of life. But my feeling is when we talk about death, we're talking about something that's metaphoric. If you come to the wheel and there is a debilitating story that you carry with you in your mind that doesn't support you and is not carrying light, you may come and sit in the north and allow an old story to die. And because you're making room to write a new one, to begin a new one. And so only recently I've started to make a suggestion to others, and that is to go here and let an old story die, and then come back to the east, the place of new beginnings, and sit and contemplate what you want your new story to be. So that's some of the wheel. And now with the handouts, I'm gonna give you a hard copy here in this room. And for those of you at home, you can gather more information from the attachments that are there. And one thing, if you like doing the wheel, I know that to me this is, I have this as a tool, I have the labyrinth as a tool, and you can create this. I mean, I created this one, and it looks like it's about 6 feet across, 7 feet across, and it's in a room. But if you had a basket with 36 pebbles and you wanted to have a little meditation at home, you could determine where east is, and you could lay out your pebbles according to the diagram and just sit and have a little meditation at home and focus on a stone, and then see if there's some message in there for you as you're seeking some guidance. So just know that that's there. I suppose, should I ask if there are any questions at this time, or do we wait on that?
So I guess, yeah, are you finished at this point with your presentation and now to go to questions? Usually we take a break, but we don't, I mean, if you're in the middle of something, let's keep going until we get to it at a good natural.
If we want to save the question, that's great. I just wanted to maybe close with just a snippet of another song.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll take a break and then come back for questions.
Okay, that sounds good. And this is something you may know, but it's a song that I wrote for an album that I released in 2008, and it was about an experience I had on the Piney River in Hickman County when I was surprised by, after 6 years of being on the river, a visit from a bald eagle. And I'll just play the beginning of this. I saw an eagle rising up from the Piney River in a flash of white tail feathers and a splash of blue. It wasn't so surprising when I felt a shiver. In that moment there together, we both flew. I am one with the eagle and the sky, with the river rolling by, with Mother Earth and Father Sun. Everything and everyone, I am one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. That was beautiful. Let's just take a 10-minute break and come back for questions. So, 11:25. Let's reconvene and for talk back and have questions.